Welcome to the Safe Money Retirement Show with certified financial fiduciary, Tim Wood.
Let's sit down and make an actual plan, and we have definitely got to factor in that retirement danger zone. I wish to God someone had sat down and done that with my dad. We wish we would have known about these things.
Tim is a retirement and income planning expert, best-selling author, and the founder of SafeMoneyRetirement.com. Tim focuses on wealth management, retirement income, tax and long-term care planning, and so much more.
Today is your opportunity to build the tomorrow you want. You've got an 87% chance of success. Well, son, that's a 13% chance of failure.
And now, the Safe Money Retirement Show with Tim Wood.
And we welcome you into this week's edition of the Safe Money Retirement Show. As always, we're here with Tim Wood. He's the founder, president, and certified financial fiduciary with Safe Money Retirement. Hope you're having a wonderful day. And of course, Tim and I thank you so much for spending part of it with us here on the show. Coming up today, if you plan to keep working into your 70s, we're going to tell you how Tim can help you put a plan in place in the event that those plans were to suddenly change. Plus, could your advisor be using some outdated rules of thumb? We'll tell you how you can find out. We'll get to that and much, much more. But first things first, we say hello to my buddy and, of course, the star of the show and the most handsome man in the room, Mr. Tim Wood. Tim, it is always a pleasure, sir. How are you today?
I am doing fantastic. I hope you are, and I hope everyone listening had a fantastic Christmas. And if you don't celebrate Christmas, that you're enjoying all of the holidays. My family and I do celebrate Christmas, so I'm one of those people that will say Merry Christmas, and I'm not going to be ashamed about that. So I hope everyone had a fantastic Christmas, and I hope the new year is fantastic for everyone, and thanks for being here.
Let me ask you, Tim, as we get set for the start of another new year, it's hard to believe. I feel like we were just talking about the start of 2025, and now we're already talking about 2026. Sort of a friendly reminder of just how fast time really flies, especially for somebody out there listening that might be inching closer towards retirement, right? I mean, you might think you've got all this time and plenty of years to put a plan in place, but man, the older we get, it's a cliche, but boy, it feels accurate. The faster time feels like it flies, doesn't it?
It does, and I've even spoken to some younger people, and they think it seems like time is going faster lately. I don't know if it's the whole social media thing and having this little computer that we have in our pocket that's more powerful than anything that sent somebody to the moon, and you can literally get any piece of information. Anything. Mm-hmm. I could literally get any information I want on pretty much anything right this very moment right here. So I don't know if it's that, but yeah, it does seem like things are going quickly. But yeah, I agree. We were just talking about it being January 25, and this is going to be an interesting year, and bam, here we are. Literally, we blinked about 15 times, and here we are at the end. And yeah, I do think it goes faster as you get closer to retirement. So the closer you are to retirement, yeah, you need to make sure that you're prepared for it, because boy, it's going to be here. If you think retirement's 2.5 years away and that still seems like a long time, that 2.5 years, I swear to God, you're going to blink a few times and that 2.5 years is going to be gone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no doubt. It does go quick. What do they say when you have little kids? The days are long, the years are short. And boy, it really feels like that has been accurate here over the last couple of calendar years. And folks, if you are getting closer to retirement, maybe 2026 is going to be the year for you. Well, you want to sit down with somebody who helps put plans in place for folks day in and day out. Well, that's Tim Wood with Safe Money Retirement. And if you'd like to learn more, you want to get on his calendar, we do have teammates standing by even on the weekend to get you lined up. 800-913-SAFE. That's 800-913-7233. The website again is SafeMoneyRetirement.com. That's SafeMoneyRetirement.com. So Tim, I saw a really staggering number here recently, and it's estimated that about 4.1 million Americans will turn 65 in the year 2026. But that doesn't necessarily mean all of them are ready to stop working. While studies show they intend to keep their job until 70, obviously we know health can change very quickly. We know that employment status could be affected negatively. So Tim, how can you help our listeners who, desire working into their later years prepare if something was to drastically change very quickly?
What you just said happens all the time. I have clients come in all the time time that either expected to work longer and wound up working less, or vice versa. It goes both ways. The thing is being in a plan that allows you to, in football terms, if people have read my book, know I'm a big football guy, call an audible. You need to be able to make changes. You need to be in something that, for example, and this is just one example, but for example, let's say we're talking about income plans. It would be great if you could be, so let's just say you're 60 and you're planning on retiring at 65. Great. We get you into an income plan and we plan on you starting at 65. Mm-hmm. But the type of plans I do, if something changed and you needed to start it at 61, 62, 63, you can. If you get to be 65 and you're not ready, you say, you know what? My job has gotten better. I just had a client that was in here that I've been working with for years that we had planned on him retiring this year. Well, you know what? He got a new boss. This new boss is fantastic and has cleaned up a bunch of the garbage and his life is so much better. He's like, you know what? I certainly never foresaw this, but I think I'm going to work another year, maybe even longer, because things are going great. Well, in his plan, if he doesn't turn the income on this year, well, congratulations. You've got a guaranteed roll up. It's going to be even higher next year when you turn it on. Mm-hmm. Next year, if you don't turn it on, guess what? It's going to be even higher the year after that. So having something that gives you the availability, kind of like I said, to call an audible, because things do change. People plan on working to 65 or 70 and may have to quit earlier. People, plan on retiring at 65 and wind up working to their 70s because things work out or whatever. So being able to actually make a change and being in plans where you can make that change is really vital to making sure that you're prepared for whatever may come in retirement.
Obviously, flexibility is a big part of that, right? Where, you can, like you said, call an audible. You do have a plan B in place because, again, I know with longevity, Tim, folks out there listening, they're living longer. They want to work later in life, and that's all great until the boss calls you in and says, you know what? Sorry, you're out. Having that flexibility, that opportunity to pivot on the fly and not just go, okay, where do I turn from here?
Well, and the big thing once you get older, as you've heard me say over and over and over, is knowing that you've got enough income. That's what retirement's all about. It's all about income. And that's what I work with people on in the Fact Finder. Literally, usually a good 25%, I would say, of every Fact Finder appointment that I work with people on is, let's figure out how we're going to allow you to stop working and still have the income that you need on a guaranteed basis. We're not talking about on some pie in the sky, and boy, I sure hope the market does a whole lot and I'm just going to pull out the gains. Mm-hmm. Really? Well, what are you going to do on the years where there's no gains? What are you going to do on the years where it goes down 30% and you got to have a 42% gain just to get back to where you are? What are you going to do then? That's what happened to my dad. It's what's called the retirement death spiral. If the market goes down, y'all have heard me talk about the market math. It goes down 30, you need 42 to get back. It goes down 50, you need 100 to get back. Well, that's what happened to my dad. The market went down almost 50% in those first 4 years he retired, while at the same time he was taking withdrawals. That's how he totally lost over 75%, because as you're pulling money out while it's going down, well, now the stock price has gone down. Well, now you got to sell more stock to get the amount of income that you want, which depletes the thing faster. And then by the next month, it's gone down more. So now you're pulling even more stock to get the same amount of money, and it just right down the toilet.
Yeah.
And right back to work for a decade he went. Making sure that you're prepared so you don't have to worry about that kind of a scenario moving forward. Like you said, having the flexibility, being able to call that audible. Do I want to go earlier? One of my favorite things is when someone comes in and they think, this just happened. This just happened yesterday, day before. I can't even remember. Very recently, I just had an appointment with someone that literally said, I think I'm going to have to work till at least 70, if not sooner. He was 58, and we did all the numbers. He's going to be able to retire in 4 years.
Wow.
Comfortably.
Wow.
He didn't think he had enough, and after sitting down and looking at expenses and looking at what his wife had and what he had, and do this and do that and put this in and let it grow guaranteed for 4 years and then turn it into an income, and that along with social and blah, 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 he's going to be able to get out at 62. But let's use that as an example. If he did that, great. But he may get 4 years from now and he may say, you know what, Tim, life is like the other client. Maybe his job gets better. Maybe he gets a new supervisor and it's fantastic or whatever. If he doesn't want to, again, then great. Let's let it go one more year, because then your income is going to be that much higher the next year. But yeah, being able to make those changes and not be locked into one thing, because then, yeah, if every single plan, everything that you've done is for you to retire at 70 and then something happens and you got to retire at 64, what you going to do? Or if everything you've done is for you to retire at 65 and you're thoroughly enjoying your job, you're still healthy, you don't want to do a bunch of traveling with the wife, or maybe the wife's younger than you and she's still going to be working several years more, and you don't need to retire, then, you know what I mean? Being able to make the changes is vital. And that's one of the biggest things that I work with people on, is let's make sure that you've got some options moving forward, that things aren't just locked in 100%, that we can, call that audible.
It all starts with one phone call to Tim Wood at Safe Money Retirement. And folks, if you'd like to learn more about having that plan in place, having that ability to call that audible if your plans do change as you get closer to retirement, keep this number handy, folks. 800-913-SAFE. That's 800-913-7233, or online at safemoneyretirement.com. That's safemoneyretirement.com. So, Tim, I know we've talked about rules of thumb in the past when it comes to retirement planning. Well, a new study I saw from Nationwide Retirement Institute says a lot of retirees aren't buying into them anymore. First and foremost, only about 35% say they believe in the 4% withdrawal rule, while 53% say the 100 minus your age risk formula doesn't work. They added on 64% said retiring at the age of 65 no longer applies to them. So, Tim, if someone's listening today, they're working with an advisor that's using those rules of thumb, might it be time to pick up the phone and give Tim Wood and the team at Safe Money Retirement a call?
It might be, or, you do need to get with someone, because those old rules absolutely are not valid anymore. And I'll give you one perfect example, and we'll go over several here real quick, but the 4% rule. That's one thing and that was actually coined back in the late 80s. There was a financial advisor named William Bengen, and he was the one that actually came up with that 4% rule. And what he did was he actually did some backwards analysis and determined historically from the 80s back, if you had only taken out 4%, you would make it. Well, that was valid then. Well, guess what? Things have changed, people. It is not 1987 anymore.
Right.
I wish it was. The music was way better. Okay? That's way better. Even better in the 90s, but that's neither here nor there. So the 4% rule really isn't valid anymore. One of the founders and the creators of the RISA, the Retirement Income Style Awareness, that I have on my website that everyone hears me talk about often, his name is Dr. Wade Pfau, P-F-A-U. And you can actually find on my website, safemoneyretirement.com, if you go to the media tab, you can actually see the report that he put out, and it's called The 4% Rule is Dead. And if you do the calculations from now going back, there are times where 4% you would not have made it. So he is saying, actually, when this first came out, he was saying it was closer to somewhere between 3 and 3.8%. He just updated those numbers recently, and now it's more like 2.5 to 3% to be safe. So I don't know many people that can live on 2.5 to 3% of what they have saved, especially when there are plans out there that can pay you more than double that on a guaranteed basis. And that's what you hear me talk about all the time in these guaranteed lifetime income plans. The rates are literally more than twice what he's saying you can take out theoretically to hope that you have enough in a guaranteed plan that's going to pay you and your spouse guaranteed no matter what. So that 4% rule is absolutely something that needs to go and is not valid anymore. Another say people that you need to take 100 and minus your age, and that's what your percentage of risk should be. I don't know about that. I think that it really depends on when you're going to retire. I think your actual retirement age is what needs to be the determination, because for about the 5 years leading up to retirement and about the 5 years after retirement, that is, in football terms, the red zone. Mm-hmm. That is where you have got to make sure everything goes perfectly, because if you have a big crash before you retire, it's going to make your retirement awfully tough. If you have a big crash right after you retire, you're probably going to have to go back to work like my dad did. So that 10 years kind of right there, making sure that that is as safe as it can be, and that we transition you from acquisition, like you've been in your whole life, to distribution in retirement. So it's not necessarily so much just about doing a formula to figure out your age and percentage of risk, and let's look at your specific situation and let's figure that out. And lastly, people that just say, or they just think 65 is the retirement age. It's not anymore. Mm-hmm. I've got more and more people that are retiring in their 50s and more that are retiring in their 80s. 65 that's just some random number that really doesn't even apply anymore. And I would say if we were going to come up with a number, if we had to come up with a number, I would say that number right now is probably closer to 67, 68, because 67 for most people now, unless you've already reached it, that's going to be most people's full retirement age as far as Social Security is concerned. Your FRA is most likely, if you haven't already gotten there, it's most likely going to be 67. And then Social Security grows all the way to 70. That's one of the things I do, as you know, Kevin, is I help people try to figure out when to turn on Social Security as part of this overall plan. But just thinking that 65 is when you're going to retire, not necessarily. You might be able to retire way before. You might decide you want to work after. Don't let the stereotypical things that, like you're talking about, be what guides you in your retirement. Let's sit down and come up with a plan that's specific for you.
And that all starts with one phone call to Tim Wood and the team at Safe Money Retirement. Folks, if you'd like to learn more, you want to get on his calendar, you want to pick up a complimentary copy of his book. It's also entitled Safe Money Retirement, Your Game Plan for Success. Keep this number handy. 800-913-SAFE. That's 800-913-7233, or online anytime. It's safemoneyretirement.com. That's safemoneyretirement.com. All right, we'll give you a couple of minutes to make that call, but don't go anywhere. We've got a country music superstar joining us on the other side as we continue with this week's edition of the Safe Money Retirement Show with Tim Wood, founder, president, and certified financial fiduciary with Safe Money Retirement.
This holiday season, let Trisha Yearwood bring the magic home with her new album, Christmas Time. Featuring timeless classics like Blue Christmas and heartfelt originals, including Merry Christmas Valentine. Plus, experience the music live on her 12 Days of Christmas Symphony Tour this holiday season. To find dates near you, go to TrishaYearwood.com. Cozy, nostalgic, and unforgettable. Christmas Time is on sale now wherever you buy music and at TrishaYearwood.com. Make this season one to remember with Trisha Yearwood.
Hi, it's Glenn Beck. You've heard me talk about Tim Wood, certified financial fiduciary and owner of Safe Money Retirement for a while now. But what I haven't told you is that he's also a retirement income certified professional. Now, why should you care? Well, maybe you have pre-tax and after-tax retirement accounts, and you need to know how that's going to work. Or maybe you still don't have enough guaranteed lifetime income to cover your monthly bills. Or maybe your entire savings is still exposed to risk. Listen, I met Tim personally, and I can tell you that his team can help you. I want you to write this down, safemoneyretirement.com/Beck. Or call 800-913-SAFE to schedule a no-obligation, free 15-minute discovery call with Tim. You know I don't trust just anyone, so do your own homework on Tim Wood at safemoneyretirement.com/Beck and request a copy of his best-selling book. 800-913-SAFE, safemoneyretirement.com/Beck. Get started today.
And we welcome you back into this week's edition of the Safe Money Retirement Show. As always, we're here with Tim Wood. He's the founder, president, and certified financial fiduciary with Safe Money Retirement. My name is Kevin McAlpin, and Tim and I thank you so much for being with us. We know you've got a lot of options when it comes to financial radio shows, and we appreciate you choosing ours. And we hope you've enjoyed the show so far. And Tim, I don't think there's a lot of programs around the country that have a chance to say they are going to have a country music superstar on the show. We had this on last week's program. I know it's the holiday season. A lot of folks were out running around doing a lot of stuff with the family. And Tim, Trisha Yearwood, you had a chance to sit down with her, with your lovely bride, Melissa, and what a fun conversation this was, wasn't it?
It was. It was awesome. And, yes, we are right after Christmas now, but I did want to rerun this and re-rack this because, we got such incredible response from people. She is just the most down-to-earth, normal person. Yes, when she's on stage, her voice is angelic, but when you get a chance just to sit down with her one-on-one and just chat, it's just like I'm chatting to you listening. I mean, it's just, she's just a person and was so genuine. And we got such a great response. We wanted to re-rack that so everybody could make sure they heard it one more time. Here you go. The show last night was amazing. I mean, as you know, with the Nashville Symphony Orchestra, I mean, first of all, how can you go wrong in that venue, right?
Oh my goodness, beautiful. That building. Isn't it beautiful? Stunning.
And it was a great show. We absolutely love the new album. We really love Merry Christmas Valentine. That's our favorite. But I got to point out at the very end, you can see what's happening to her. What you sang at the very end really got to her.
Those are core memories of watching Wizard of Oz with my mom.
I don't know if you, the song I did earlier, When October Settles In, was about my mom. And that's what music is supposed to do. Wizard of Oz, and I watched that. When I was a kid, you couldn't just stream anything, right? And so you waited once a year
to watch it at Christmas.
Yes. And so I have that same memory. And that's what music is. That's why music is so great.
That's what it does for me. The goosebumps, the memories. That's it.
That arrangement, and if you go back, it's on the Let's Be Frank album. If you go back and listen, the way that Vincent Mendoza wrote the intro sounds like a movie. It's like you're feeling, that what's coming because that preamble, that pre-verse was, nobody ever did it. Judy Garland sang it like once on a show. Most people don't know it.
You started it, and I went and I sat up and I thought, is she gonna? Because you can kind of hear it. And I thought,
right,
she's gonna. And then when you started, he was sitting behind me. I smacked him. I was like, I was done.
Well,
I was done.
Great. It was a great moment.
Thank you. I'm glad.
So what's your favorite Christmas song on the new Christmas Time album? What's your favorite? Is it Merry Christmas Valentine?
It probably is. I mean, it's tough for me to pick because there's another song on there called Years that's a really emotional song about going home at Christmas. And it was written by a friend of mine named Beth Nilsson Chapman. And I've known this song since 91, I think, because she and I have been friends a long time, and she's recorded it, but I always wanted to record it. But it's a happy song about going home, but because it so remembers family, I tear up.
Thank you for not singing.
So to sing it, even to sing it is really hard for me. But probably Merry Christmas Valentine. I mean, it's when you hear Garth sing on it. And then in the studio at the very end, he says, "Merry Christmas, baby." That was not planned. And when he did that, I'm like, oh, you've just stolen the whole song. That's all. And it makes me emotional. It does.
I know that she absolutely loves watching you cook because you cook normal stuff.
I make real food, yeah.
Yeah.
You do, like that real people make.
Yeah.
That real people make. What's your favorite meal to make for your family at Christmas? What does your family like you to make? I mean, is it the biscuit that we had?
Oh, yeah, lunch? We just had biscuit. Oh, my, that's the best biscuit I've ever had in my life.
Yeah, well, I'm married to a carb guy and a bread guy. And so that drop biscuit, which I make a bigger version, is, at every meal. Whether you get, and even at Thanksgiving, if we have dressing, which is very carb loaded, there's still mashed potatoes. There's still, it's just so many carbs, so much bread. But the thing I make at Christmas that we do a cookie party, but everybody gets to make their favorite cookie that they grew up on. All my friends come over. But I make a coconut cake that my mom used to make, and she would make this every Christmas, a coconut cake and ambrosia. And that's Christmas to me. So I will make that every year, no matter what else we're having.
I love that.
Awesome.
I love that. we watched you on the Disney Christmas Spectacular the other night when it was on TV on Monday. We both worked in entertainment at Walt Disney World.
Oh, you did?
Yes. I performed and he did audio. What was it like for you to perform at Walt Disney World in front of Spaceship Earth?
I mean, I have had a chance to perform at Disney a few times in my career, and it's just magic, right? It's just magical. You become a kid. I've heard people talk about Disney adults, but I don't think you're always a Disney kid. And you walk in that park, and there's just something about it. And I was lucky growing up in Georgia that we went to Disney World. It wasn't like so far away. You know, we'd go halfway down, spend the night with my grandparents in South Georgia, then we'd go to Disney. And it was always amazing. So, I mean, you just can't help but get in the Christmas spirit too. It's just so cool.
And I think you said you can't walk in here without smiling.
Yeah, that's the truth. I mean, it just makes you happy.
I feel that way. I mean, it's home for us. It's where we met.
Yeah, it is.
Working at Disney.
That's cool.
Goes all the way back.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
On Kelly and Mark, last week or week before, recently, you said that you were a huge fan of, y'all talked about Broadway, and you said you were a fan of Broadway. If you were to maybe one day do a guest appearance on Broadway, what role do you think you would want?
Well, I used to want to be Glinda in Wicked, but now I'm too old to be Glinda. I don't know. You know, I've had a couple of opportunities to fill in for a couple of shows, but you have to really. It's like even if you're filling in, it's 3 months of your life.
Yes.
You know, and I just haven't been able to do that. So my folks talk about a Trisha Yearwood kind of show, but I would really love to be a character in somebody else's story. Yeah. So I don't know. I've kind of lived my whole life by whatever opportunities came along. I've chosen them if they felt right for me. So we'll see. I would love to do it someday.
We were just in New York and saw Chicago with Mira Sorvino as Roxy Hart. You could totally pull off.
Oh, that'd be fun. That'd be fun.
I'd
have to get my fishnets together.
You could totally do Roxy Hart.
You'd have to.
That would be fantastic.
Awesome. Well, Trisha, thank you so much for being on the show. We really appreciate it. Anybody, if you get a chance to see Trisha Yearwood in concert, especially during this Christmas tour, it's going to be amazing. She's touring and she's going to be actually getting with the different symphonies in the different towns that she's in. So if she's going to be in your area, make sure that you check it out. Thank you so much, Trisha, for doing this. Appreciate it.
I enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, Tim, what an awesome conversation, man. And I know that was a memory that you and Melissa had a chance to make. And I got a funny feeling this won't be the last time we have some big names join us here on the Safe Money Retirement Show.
Yeah, we've got some plans coming for these for 26 for sure, but then even moving forward. It's going to be fun. We're going to turn this. I mean, it's still going to be a lot of the episodes will be like this, but there's going to be more and more interviews coming. So just stay tuned. Yeah, there's going to be some fun stuff coming real soon.
Great stuff coming ahead in 2026. Set a reminder for yourself to join us on the program every single week. Same time, same station. It is the Safe Money Retirement Show. He's Tim Wood. He is the founder, president, and certified financial fiduciary with Safe Money Retirement. And of course, we thank Trisha Yearwood and her crew for the hospitality they showed us while we were in Nashville just a couple of weeks ago. So, Tim, let's wrap up this week's show with a topic that I know is near and dear to a lot of those folks listening out there today. I know a lot of times parents, we know we would do anything, and I do mean anything, for our kids. But a recent study from Ameriprise finds that 36% of parents worry that supporting their adult children may end up derailing their retirement plans. But you know what? They continue to lend a hand anyway. Even Live with Kelly and Mark recently brought it up on an episode in the not too distant past.
I like this one a lot. Giving money to your adult children.
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. It's like feeding a stray cat.
Don't do it.
Resist the urge, I'm telling you.
Sometimes now when we get stuff, I'll look at them and I say, I'm spending your inheritance. Yeah, I'm not giving them anything.
No. In the words of Brian Cox in Succession, get your own pile.
Well, it is an interesting topic of conversation, Tim. So for someone listening out there that wants to support adult children, what are some strategies you recommend for parents that want to help but also don't want to jeopardize their long-term nest egg in the process?
That's a tricky situation. I mean, it is. And it's something, I mean, y'all hear me say this literally every show, that everybody's different. different. But man, when it comes to this, it really is, because I've got multiple clients, just multiple new clients in the last few weeks, that they've got adult children that have some sort of a disability or whatever. That adds a whole other aspect, right? I mean, that there are situations where someone has got to support that child because they can't. Mm-hmm. So that's a whole other topic of conversation. And what we do is we make a plan. What is the situation? Why is this adult kid living with you? Or why are you supporting them? Or what's going on? Is that something that's going to keep going on? Or is that something that you're only expecting to go for a certain amount of time? Let's really sit down and figure out what that's going to look like for you, because there's some things that you got to worry about. I mean, exactly what they said, your own retirement plan is at risk. Mm-hmm. I mean, if you are pulling money out of your 401k, your IRAs, your Roth plans, whatever, to support your child that's 35, 40, 50 years old sometimes, okay, well, if it's an emergency and that needs to happen, okay. If there's a medical reason, okay, I got it. I have a client that wants to be able to help his I can't remember how old she is, 30-something-year-old daughter, decided she wants to go back to school and become a physician's assistant, a PA. It's going to be, I don't remember how much it was, like a total of $218,000 for all of the classes. And he wants to be able to do that for her.
Right.
Okay, I totally respect that. But let's make sure it's not going to hinder your retirement. Luckily, he's got multiple seven figures, so he could do it without even thinking about it. But for a lot of people, I mean, that's some of my clients, that's the majority of what they have. They couldn't do that. Mm-hmm. So it's sitting down and making sure, number one, it's not going to put your retirement plan at risk, and making sure that as you're doing that, you're trying to dip into your savings as little as possible and not add on additional debt. Mm-hmm. What you don't want to do is, as an adult, and especially as a senior adult of a child, be putting yourself into more debt for your child that's in their 20s, 30s, 40s, whatever, and could be doing for themselves. Mm-hmm. Now, again, are there specific situations, someone that has something, wrong, or a physical thing, or, whatever? Yes, there are specific situations, but overall. And I also see a situation where a lot of parents will actually put their kids over themselves, mm-hmm. as far as priority, as far as, well, I got to take care of, Billy. I got to take care of Sally. You're in your 70s and they're in their 40s. No, you don't. Mm-hmm. It's time for them to hold their own bike. You don't need to hold the bike for them anymore. They're not 8. When they were 8, you needed to hold the bike. When they're 42, if they can't ride a bike, it's time for them to learn. Mm-hmm. So making sure that your retirement is your priority, making sure you use your retirement funds for your retirement. That's what's really more important. Now, again, are there specific situations? I don't want to get a bunch of emails with people saying, well, my son's got this problem and whatever. I know there's situations, mm-hmm. and we work through it.
Right.
And if there is, that's fine. I mean, not that it's fine, but I'm saying that's fine. We can come up with a plan. Let's come up with a plan. Let's figure out if this is something that you're going to be doing, and then they're going to need income once you're gone. Let's make a plan for that.
Yeah.
If your child is dependent on you and your wife, and you and your wife are in your 60s, 70s, 80s, you need to plan what's going to happen when you and your wife are gone, and your kid's probably still going to be here. What's the plan? Mm-hmm. So let's come up with a plan. A couple other issues that I see is adult kids relying on their parents for ongoing expenses, simply in some cases because they just don't want to get a job. Mm-hmm. Well, that's a trap right there. I mean, I think everybody listening would understand that there's a problem. Mm-hmm. If you've got someone that's in their 30s, 40s, 50s, unless it's a medical, again, there can be exceptions, but for the most part, a senior adult should not be paying for their child that's in their 30s, 40s, 50s, ongoing expenses. And then lastly, sometimes they feel pressure that they need to keep doing it. Kind of like what I said, I've got to keep helping them. I've always helped them. They're used to it. Well, there needs to be, there comes a point. Some of y'all out there might know what Star Trek is, and there was a character named Jean-Luc Picard, and there was a famous scene, where he said, the line is here, no further. There's got to be a line.
Right.
And that line cannot be crossed. And at some point, if you've got an adult child that is taking advantage, because I do see that, taking advantage of older parents, there needs to be a line, and this is it, no further. And that's something that I can help people plan and figure out how to do, and how do we want to break it to them, and, do we need to get them counseling? I mean, there's a lot of different things, but making sure that your retirement is taken care of. That's number one. That is job number one, is you and your spouse, if they're still here, your retirement. If there's plenty left over and you want to take care of your kid, or you want to donate to whatever, knock yourself out. But we got to make sure you're taken care of first.
If you'd like to learn more, you want to get that conversation started, Tim Wood and his team at Safe Money Retirement, they're here to help. And folks, they're just a phone call away. 800-913-SAFE. That's 800-913-7233. Or online anytime. It's safemoneyretirement.com. That's safemoneyretirement.com. So, Tim, time flies when we're having fun. It's been another great show here today. Of course, big thanks once again to Trisha Yearwood for sitting down and spending some time with us. And my friend, before we do run out of time, the floor is once again all yours for the final word.
Thanks, Kevin. I hope everyone had a fantastic Christmas, and I hope that your time with your family has been fantastic. That's really important. And as we all get older and older, we realize more and more how important that time with family is and how valuable it is, because you don't know how many more Christmases you're going to have. You don't know how many more New Years you're going to have. You don't know what's coming. On that, what I want to just touch real briefly on again at the end are some of those things that we have had in our mind, and specifically going back to that 4% rule, to that, what's your risk going to be 100 minus your age thing? What's, everybody retires at 65. There's a whole bunch of things I could throw in there. Just because that's overall maybe average of what has happened doesn't mean it's going to be right for you. We need to sit down and we need to come up with a plan that's specific for you. What do you need for income, and when do you need it to start? And can we call that audible if you think it's going to start at 62, but then it needs to start at 67? Can it do that? Need to make sure it can. The plans that I do can. If you think you need this, basically just don't go with what is the quote-unquote rules. We need to sit down. You need to sit down with an independent, certified financial fiduciary that's going to come up with an overall plan for you, that's going to be the best for you, that's going to get you where you need to be in retirement, so you know that for the rest of your years, you're going to have your own safe money retirement.
The preceding information does not represent tax, legal, or investment advice. Obviously, by contacting us now, you are only taking the first step towards protecting your retirement. No information presented today should be acted upon without meeting with a qualified, licensed insurance professional. It is important that you read all insurance contract disclosures carefully before making a purchase decision. Interest and other guarantees in annuity contracts are subject to the claims-paying ability of the insurance carrier that issued the contract. The tax consequences of annuity income should be considered with the help of a licensed tax professional. Rates and returns mentioned on this program may vary based on state availability and are subject to change without notice.